What's up, guys? My name's William King Barnett, and this is You Can Do It Too, the series where you realize that you don't have already had to have composed your first symphony by the age of 7 like Mozart. Anyone can do it, and at any age. You might believe your music sucks.
Wrong.
That is.
Or you might believe that if you try to write a piece of music, it will inevitably suck.
Wrong.
You've probably been told at some point or another that your music sucks, like me and every other composer. I'm here to assure you that no, it does not. You simply need to improve your music production skills the same way I did. But it occurs to me that a lot of new-time beginners or like composer wannabes don't even know how to use a DAW or what a DAW is. A DAW, for those who don't know, is a computer software that allows you to digitally record and engineer music. I use Logic Pro, but there are many other good ones out there, such as Ableton, Cubase, Pro Tools, even GarageBand, which is great for beginners. So today, we're going to dive into just how to use a DAW and write a little piece in the process. Let's begin, shall we? We're going to start by setting up what's called a MIDI track. A MIDI track is a computer track, a synthesized instrument versus a real instrument, an audio recording, which we'll get to later. Mine is already set to open the Kontakt player, the Kontakt Complete library. You can browse through their different instrument libraries and categories. They have everything from orchestral to band to choir. I'm starting with an electric bass. You can adjust the instrument volume here in the window. The default is -6. I usually raise it to 0. You don't want to raise it any more than that. Before we start recording, I'm going to adjust the tempo. You can do so up here. The tempo is how fast or slow the piece is. The larger the number, the faster it goes. The smaller the number, the slower it goes. Don't forget to name your tracks, guys. That's kind of important for organization. Note that the metronome is on up here in purple. When it's on, it's highlighted in purple. The metronome helps you stay on the beat when you record, so I highly recommend recording with it. I also have on the 1, 2, 3 sign, which gives me a pickup measure, an extra measure to get ready to record before it actually starts recording. To record, you simply press the big red button, and here we go. Now, as you can hear, this is not a perfect recording. One of the advantages with MIDI recording is I can manipulate it by going to the piano roll, where I can add and copy and delete notes. I can adjust lengths. I can also adjust what's called velocity, which essentially means dynamics, making them louder or softer. For velocity, you don't want to go above 110, and even that's pushing it, and you don't want to go below 50 either. So with the piano roll and the MIDI, you have full manipulation of the tracks. The other thing I do is quantize it, which means making every note land exactly on the beat. It makes for a tighter mix. I highly recommend you do this. Next up, I'm going to record the drums. For the drums, I use a library called Battery. Be sure to select a stereo track and not a mono track. As you can see, there are a lot of drum options to choose from for various genres and styles. My favorite is the Garage LE kit. Now we're ready to record. Now, the same way I tweaked the bass using the piano roll, I'm going to do the same with the drums. I also want to add some snare, tweak the velocities so they're about the same, they're not all over the place, adjust the length. I'm also going to add a hi-hat. Remember, a MIDI recording doesn't have to be perfect or the way you want it at first, because MIDI allows for manipulation that audio recording doesn't. It actually makes MIDI recording more advantageous than audio recording because you have more control over what you record in the end. After doing something like I just did, adding this hi-hat, you want to tweak the velocities of each note so they're not all the same. Now we can also take advantage of the looping tool, where you can duplicate parts and have them loop forever ultimately. I actually would not recommend using this tool. I would recommend just C&P, as you can't manipulate the loops, but it is an option. Now that we got our drums and bass foundation, let's add more. I'm craving an organ. That sounds yummy. In Kontakt, you can browse their different options. Remember, every time you click on a patch, it loads it to the window, so you don't want double patches, or maybe you do. But just so you know that. I'm going to go with rock organ. Adjust the volume in the window. Now let's record a rock groove. Now some more adjusting of lengths and velocities. Quantize. Adding more notes. I'm adding more notes to get a fuller harmony. Full chords are always the best. So you don't have to be a great musician to make great music. You can do it too. Now let's play back what we have so far. Don't forget to name your tracks, guys. Now that we got our rhythm section down, I'm craving some saxes. You can also solo tracks if need be by clicking the S above. It lights up yellow when an instrument is soloed. Note, wind and brass tracks can usually only play one note at a time, unless they specifically say, like sax section. So if you want sections, you need to make multiple tracks. For this sax section, I'm adding 2 alto saxes, 1 tenor sax, and 1 baritone sax. Now I'm adding the bari sax to double the bass. And here we go. Now, one thing you want to avoid is what's called clipping. If you look at my levels, it's consistently in the red. This means things are too loud. It's bad for your speakers and your ears. So we're going to turn everything down using the volume tool. As you can hear, it's still clipping. So we're going to turn it down even more. Still clipping, so we're going to turn it down even more. With your master levels, you don't want them to go above -3, and you want to try to stay within the -6 to -10 range. Now, before we go forward, I'm just going to organize my tracks. You can move tracks around. I like to group them by sections and keep my winds, brass, and my rhythm sections grouped together. Now for some panning. Everything's in the middle, but when everything's in the center, it doesn't sound as clear and it's harder to mix. Panning is the idea of creating a mix. Like if you think about your headphones, you hear things on the left side or the right side. This is what panning does. I'm panning everything except for the bass and drums. You want to keep those in the center. See the difference it makes? Now, I actually want to lower the saxes an octave, at least to begin with. You can do this by going back into the piano roll and going to the MIDI transform menu. You can have fun exploring their various tools. I'm using the transposition tool to go down an octave. To go up an octave, it's plus 12. To go down an octave, it's negative 12. And you can do everything in between. So now we've got the beginnings of a piece, or a beat. Make sure you always save, guys, and name your tracks. I should have done this first. From this foundation, we can now build a song. I'm going to start with just the drums and the bass, using the loop tool on everything. Then add in the organ, then the alto saxes, and then finally the bari sax and tenor. This becomes our intro. You can also split tracks by using Command T, by the way, or the scissor tool up above in the menu. Okay, remember earlier how I said I actually recommend against using the looping tool? This is why. Because I had a lot of extra length, shall I say, in my takes that I would have caught a lot earlier had I not used the looping tool and just copied and pasted everything. So this is why I don't recommend using the looping tool. Then for the verse, I'm going to go back to just the bass and drums, then eventually bringing in the bari sax and the organ again. Now let's hear what we got. And this is how you can build and layer a song to keep interest and also raise the excitement. Now we have the makings of a song. Next up, I want to record some audio. For this, you need a different kind of track. You need an audio track. So select audio from the menu instead of MIDI. You need to make sure an input is selected. Make sure your recording volume levels are good as well. Make sure you're recording in stereo, not mono. If you see 2 circles, you're in stereo. If you see 1, you are in mono. And once again, to record, press the big red button. It doesn't take long to write a song. You can do it too. As you can see, it's quite easy to write a bopping hit. If you find yourself having to stop within the middle of a section or can't record a full passage, I would recommend making a second track, as it'll give you more time to prepare for the next take, and then you also won't risk recording over anything you've already recorded. That's what I always do. If you're recording multiple audio tracks, you need to make sure you select the R on the top left for whichever track you want to record on. Otherwise, you will record over what you've already recorded. Just be aware, if you double-click an audio track, sometimes it shows it in double. It doesn't actually affect the recording. It's not actually 2 recordings. And then for the chorus, everything with the saxes, the organ, the bari sax, everything that we had at the beginning. So now we got pretty much a fully finished song with instruments and audio, and you've gotten to see the whole process. Other important aspects of mixing and music production we haven't touched on in this episode are reverb, EQ, volume automation, panning automation, effects, pitch correction, even things like aerophones, recording real instruments, as well as exporting and mastering, and music composition itself. So if you want to learn more about these various things, definitely like and subscribe to my channel. Now let's hear what we got from start to finish. It doesn't take long to write a song. You can do it too, as you can see. It's quite easy to write a bopping hit. It's lit! Don't have to be cool to learn the tools to write a good piece of music. You can learn quick, and trust me when I say it's sick! You will be amazed at what you create. Just you wait. You can do it too. Come on now! Yeah. You can do it too. Everybody sing! Yeah, you can do it too. Dance. Do it too. You can do it too. You can do it too. Yeah. Come on now. You can do it too. Get jiggy with it. Yeah, because you can do it too. You can do it too. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel for more tips and insights into the vast, complex world of music production, which is evolving every day. And I've already said this, but note that in this episode, we did not dive into any advanced mixing techniques that are very essential. More episodes to come on all of that. And like a musical instrument, stay tuned. Lots of love, y'all. Come on now, you can do it too. Get jiggy with it. Yeah, because you can do it too. You can do it too.